Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to try out the Arteza 24 acrylic color paints, and these paints I think have a very nice price point, and with this 24 pack you get a wide variety of colors. They're packaged wonderfully, and they are a very nice starter set for an acrylic paint set. So if there's anyone that you know that might want some acrylic paints for Christmas, or if you would like to try out acrylic paints that are not the acrylic craft paints, this would be a really nice set to start out with. They come in these nice little trays, and there are 4 trays in the box, and they have different opacities. Some of them are opaque, some of them are translucent or semi-translucent. I don't think that there are any that are translucent, but the box nicely tells you whether they are translucent, or they call it transparent, or semi-transparent. And yes, there are opaque and there are transparent colors in here, semi-transparent. And the ultramarine blue is the only one, it looks like, that is transparent. So you have a nice variety and a wonderful variety of colors. If there's a color here that you want to use and you don't have it, you should be able to mix these colors to make the color that you're looking for. So today what we're going to do is we're going to play with the Ebru painting and with the Arteza paints, and we are going to see if we get more color from the Arteza paints than we did from our craft paints when we did it with craft paints. And so what I'm going to do, this is just a little paint tray, and I am going to water my colors. Sorry, I'm looking for things as I'm going here. I'm going to water down my colors in these little trays, because when you're doing the Ebru painting, when you're adding water to paint and using that, it really goes a long ways, and you don't want to waste your paint. There's my water. And so I'm going to use these small trays. I can always make more, but I don't want to have so much that I'm going to be done with my painting and I'm still going to have a whole bunch of color left over. Although if you do, put it on some paper and you can use that for background paper. All I'm doing is putting some paint in the wells. I think I'm going to choose 4 colors. And so I'll just do 4 wells here. We'll do like maybe an orange and a red and a purple and a blue maybe. Let's see what colors we have here. So let's start with, we'll do orange yellow. And so I have filled these about 3/4 of the way with water. And then I am just going to put in a dollop of paint. You can already see that water has really picked out some of that orange pigment right out of that. And then let's try scarlet red. So we have orange yellow and scarlet red. And I'm just putting in a nice little amount in there. And then let's do phthalo green. Oops, knocked some down. Let's see. And I'm not so sure green goes real well with purple. So let's do, let's go with let's do ultramarine blue. And I'm kind of looking, I'll show you here in just a second. I am looking at my swatches here from when I painted them, and it's always a good idea to go ahead and paint a swatch of all of your colors when you get a new set, and make sure that you mark what set it is that you've got here, because sometimes you may find that the color on the tube is not quite the color it paints out to be. A lot of these are very close. Now this ultramarine blue, that looks darker on the tube than it does when we painted it out. So, but they're all pretty close. And the phthalo green is also a little bit, well, it's not really darker. It just has just a little bit of a different tint to it. So they all did come out pretty close to the colors on their tubes. And so, but sometimes you'll look at a tube on some sets and you'll say, oh, I want that color. And then when you take it out, it's not the color you want. So you want to have a swatch that you can look at where you can look at it and say, I want that color. And when you grab that tube, that's the color it's going to be. So we're going to set that aside. And we're going to set aside our colors. And we're just going to mix these up. Let me grab a couple of stir sticks here. Okay, so I'm just going to, and the thing is when you have your acrylic paints like this, now maybe I didn't choose the best little bowl to put these in, because you really do need to mix them up, and there's not a lot of room in here because these are a nice heavy paint. It's not just like giving a super quick stir like with a craft paint. This is a nice acrylic artist paint, and so it makes a really nice starter set for someone who would like to take the next step into painting versus using their craft paints. And there's nothing wrong with craft paints. I use them a lot, but they don't a lot of times have as much pigment as you'd like them to have, and the more artist grade paint you go, the more pigment you get. So I am going to just, what I'm going to do is, because you don't want to sit here and watch me stir these and stir them and stir them, I am going to stir these up, and then I am going to move the table aside because I have my Ebru water underneath this table. And so I will get set up so that we can start painting, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back, and I have my colors here. See if we can move over a little bit. Okay, so I have my 4 colors mixed here. That's just water, about twice as much water as paint. And that is such a heavy body paint that trying to stir it with the stir stick I was using, that was never going to happen. So I wound up just getting a nice flat brush and just mixing it until I got it mixed. You definitely want a bigger container than that. But I just kind of wanted to show the effects of how much you actually use, you know, so that you don't overdo it, because I always overdo it. So we have our paper here. This paper is treated with elm, and there is a video showing you how to make the tools and how to prep the paper and how to make the water and everything. It's Ebru painting on my Build Your Stash series. I'm not going to go through all that right now because, you know, that takes a long time to go through the whole thing. But you need your elm paper, you need your thickened water, and you need your watered down paint. And then all we're going to do is we're going to start with just kind of a little marbled background. And so we're going to put some paint on a flicker, and then we're just going to flick it onto right onto our water. And I think that I have this paint just a little bit too thick, but we're gonna go with it anyways. And then I'm gonna set that over on a paper towel. Let's try some of the, oh, this is beautiful. This is phthalo green. Okay, I am back. When hubby gets up, Pee-wee always gets very excited. They both do, but Pee-wee can't stop whining, so I figured I better turn it off because I know that can get annoying. So we're going to just put on a little bit more of the blue, which the blue is definitely too dark. I really need to add some more water. It's too heavy, so it doesn't really want to float. So I'm just going to put a few more drops of water in there. And again, here's where if I had a larger container, it would be easier for me to do this and mix it up. So you want a bigger container. You just want to make sure that you just don't make too much of your paint and water. So there we go. And then we'll do a little bit more of the green. And the thing is that you want to get enough paint on the top of your water to paint the top of your paper. I mean, if you look at how much paint we're actually putting on here, just little drips of watered down paint. So, you know, you need to make sure that you put enough. And then you want to kind of spread it around a bit so that your colors are next to each other. I want a little bit more blue right here. To get that look, that nice feathered look. And when you take your time with it, and the more you practice, the better you'll get. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's pull that color off of there. And let's see what it looks like. You're going to take your paper and just kind of bow it up. And then lay it right down on your paint. Give it a second to lift that paint onto the paper. And then I am going to quick roll up my sleeves. Actually, I'll just take my shirt off. I'm going to run this over and rinse it under the sink. You can rinse it in a pan of water. I just prefer to do it under the sink. It's just the way that I've always done it. So I'm going to lift this up and let you see what it looks like, and I will be right back. And so this is what we wound up having. I think it looks really pretty. Now the blue, the cobalt blue, is not showing up a lot. And I think that is because a lot of it has sunk because it was just too heavy. So it would need to be watered down. Also, the phthalo green is semi-transparent. The cobalt blue is opaque. So very possibly the semi-transparents are going to float better. Let's see what else we did. We did orange yellow, and orange yellow is opaque, and we did, what did we do for our red? We did scarlet red, and that is semi-transparent. So let's see how that looks when we put some of those on there. So let's go ahead and get some of the red. And again, the red is too thick. I usually do about twice as much water as paint. But I'm going to think that because these paints are so much thicker that you don't even need as much paint. Maybe 3 times as much water, 3 times paint to 1 times water. We're going to put some of the red on top. So let's see, the red was semi-transparent, and the orange yellow is opaque. And that's the thing, you'll have to learn what colors work best, what colors you like the best. Oh, these are marbling together very nicely. Let's put some more red on here. Like I said, you just want to make sure that you get enough paint on your thickened water. Okay, so we're going to pull this one with this same pattern as the other, and then we can go in next time and maybe comb it to give it a different pattern. it a second to grab hold. And this is the look we have. And I'm going to go rinse it and be right back. And so here is our marbled look for the orange and the red. Now, wherever you see the white, that is where we did not have any color on the surface of our water. And so the more color that you get on there, the less spots of white that you have. I like the white in there. I like the 3 colors, you know. I like it to be offset with that white, but if you don't want as much white, you just put more color on your paper. And then you would wind up with more, your paper would look more like this over the whole thing. So let's do a quick one with, let me see, let's do the red and the orange and the phthalo green. And let's see how that turns out. And like I said, I'm really hurrying here. This is a messy thing. These splashes do go all over your table, so you do want to be careful and make sure that you prepare your surface to be ready for paint splatters all over the place. Okay, now let's do some of the green. That green is really liking to float all over the top of the water. It's pushing everything else out of the way. So then we're just going to add a little bit more of those colors on top. And a little bit more red. Maybe just a little bit more of the green. And then what we're going to do is we will take a skewer. We'll just take our comb. This is just a comb that we made. It's just a bunch of skewer points. We are just going to draw this way. Okay, and it's not combing very well, and that's not the paint's problem. I'm going to guess that I don't have my thickening quite thick enough, or my water quite thick enough, but let's pull this up and see what it looks like. And I'm going to pause it right here and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And this is what this one turned out like. I really love this. And I have to say, these Arteza colors, because they have the pigment in them, they have so much more pigment in them, they are giving us beautiful, beautiful marbled papers. The marbled papers that we made from the acrylic paints, the craft paints, were nice, but they were very, very light. Now, as you see your water starting to turn like this, that's okay because that has all kind of sunk. You may have a little color that kind of sticks to the top, but if you think you have a lot of paint on the top, all you have to do is just take a piece of paper and just draw it across the top like this, and that will lift that paint off the top. There isn't any there, so I don't want to waste my elmed paper. And then we'll just do one. Let's do a turquoise background. And then let's see about putting some dots on it. And one thing you do have to remember when you're doing the Ebru painting is you have to have a background. If you don't, wherever you don't have a background color, what's going to happen is you're going to have the white paper. Now, like I said, I don't mind that at all. It looks like we are getting a little bit of the orange there on the top. Okay, now I want to try putting a few drops of color. Whoops. Not good to have bubbles. Let's put a little red in the middle of that. And the green is heavier than the other colors, so it is pushing them in. And then you can just take a skewer. Let's see, let's kind of draw these in like this. And you really should wipe your skewer between to just make them look a little bit like flowers. And this takes some practice, and it depends on what you're looking for, and you'll get the hang of like the thickness that you want. And I'm not super happy with that, so I think that I am just going to go in underneath the water and draw through them and make them swirl. And then we'll see what this one looks like. Give it just a second for the paint to attach to your paper, to soak in. And when you rinse it, the reason you're rinsing it is to rinse off, there's cornstarch in the water, so you're rinsing that off, because if you let it dry on your paper, that cornstarch will turn white. So I'm just going to grab this up. That's what it looks like, and I'm going to quick go rinse it. And this is what that one turned out like. So I think that they are beautiful, and these colors together, I'm loving the phthalo green with the orange especially. I think they're just turning out lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set these aside, and then I will be back after they dry, show you what they look like. I made these because I want inside book covers. You know how inside the olden books they had the beautiful marbled paper, and I thought this would be really nice for some of the journals I was working on to put on the inside of the covers. So I will be back in just a second. I'm loving this paint. I think that it has the pigment that we need to do this project. And like I said, you know, maybe a little thicker of the water, maybe a little thinner paint. You know, it's something that you play around with to get it exactly where you want it. But right off the bat, first try, I think it turned out wonderful. And I love the pigment and the colors. I love the colors the way they came out. So I will be back in just a second. Okay, I just thought that I would come back and show you. I have used the droppers to really get some paint on here, and I thought I would see what it would look like if we combed it, because it has a little bit more paint on it than we had before. And also, I didn't want to waste my paint, so I just figured I'm going to play with it until I'm done using it up. Alrighty, well, let's see what that looks like. It looks like dragon fire to me. Okay, so we're just going to put this on here. And I use droppers to put all of this on. It's really curling up. And this is what it looks like, and now I'll go rinse it. And here we go. So now I did, where you see all of the light color, that's where I did put the cobalt blue. So the cobalt blue is just not agreeing with this technique. It does not like it. And I did thin it down even a little more. So that's just one of the colors that won't work. It's one of the things, if you want to do this, go through and just like you were going to swatch your colors like this, go ahead and, try it with your Ebru painting, and then make sure you write down the colors that look the best. And what I usually would do is I'll keep a piece of this, and then I'll write on there what colors those are, so that I know which ones they are if I want to go back and mix some more colors. And the nice thing is the colors do not muddy up, so you can put any colors that you would like together, not worrying. Like we've got green and orange here, which would usually, green, orange, and red would make mud. But it's bright, nice, bright, intense colors. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so I am back to show you how they turned out, all dry. I did stick them in a book overnight to get the pages flat. But I think that the Ebru painting with the Arteza paints turned out really beautiful. And they also are just such a nice, smooth paint for any project that you might want to try. I wouldn't tell you that these were nice paints if they were not. That is not something that I wouldn't want to waste my money on something that I did not think was good. But if you are looking, they do have some really good sales right now. I just looked at their website, and they have 25% off plus an extra coupon. I think for going directly through this link to get there. So the price point on these is really, really good right now. So if you're looking for something for Christmas, I think that these would be an awesome item for you to give or for you to receive. And I really do love the way that they work. I do know now that when I do my Ebru painting, I am going to be using these colors because I just think that they turned out just lovely. And they are so nicely packaged, and they are a really nice size tube of paint. So a lot of the acrylic paints that I have purchased in the past are only half this size, and that's the size I thought that these were going to be. And, so they are a very, very nice paint. So I really do appreciate you stopping by to watch this video. And if you are interested, there are links below to Arteza in the United States, Arteza in the UK, and there are links to these paints and also to the fabric paints that we tested out a little while ago. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. I love the Ebru painting. I love how these worked with it. These really are a nice paint. So thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.